what we really need in this time is people who see, people who presence, and people who participate in the current process. And what I mean by that, we call this social or global social witnessing, to be a witness of our time. And a witness of our time means that I'm precisely watching my feeling awareness of being a kind of responsible citizen of this world. And so when I see the current processes and I feel whatever I feel, or I'm aware of the fact that I stop feeling, then I'm very precise with my inner state. Because I believe the collective shadows and a lot what we see at the moment in the world is collective unconscious dynamics that are being surfaced strongly in order to come into the light. And even however it looks like now, and it's important how it looks like, but it's more important how much I can stay in a state of responding, of my responsibility, my ability to respond to the current life circumstances. And or I see that I actually shut down my interior and I cannot stay connected, or I don't want to stay connected, or I see how I start resisting the current process in the world. And I think a lot's at stake at the moment, and there are many, many strong dynamics happening at the moment in the US, but not just in the US, I think for the whole world, also crucial times for Europe and crucial times for the global community. And we always said in the courses, I think two things, that the complexity is simplicity in the right cup. Complexity is simplicity in the appropriate cup. So whatever seems as a complex system is complex for a cup that is too small. The complexity is simplicity when the cup is big enough. Which means if there's too much water for a pipe system, either there's too much pressure in the pipe system or the pipe system breaks. If the cup is too small and there's too much fluid, it will overflow and the cup will not be able to contain the fluid. But if the cup's big enough, if the base is big enough, the complexity of the system can be hosted and actually appears less complex but more simple. So a lot of what we do in the work is that when we work on the base and on the grounding, we open the cup, we create a bigger cup, a bigger pipe system, a bigger container or base in order to hold the complexity of our life. If a company grows very strongly and the complexity grows, but the base doesn't grow, it's unhealthy. So the base needs to grow with the growth of the company. Otherwise, inside, many people will be stressed, will be burned out, have all kinds of symptoms. Now, I think one aspect in my own development is to see, because we are going from one big age in society into a new age in our society, a lot of information comes in. This information comes in as energy. This information comes in as light, as a raising of vibration. But this information also comes in through technology, through the speeding up of bits and bytes in our technological systems, and in the communication and high-tech facilities and capacities. They are growing very quickly. So it creates a lot of pressure onto the human system. And that happens for individuals, that happens collectively, that happens also in many, many structures in the world right now. So we are facing a very strong insecurity, I believe, in our base structures, because the base needs to grow. And if the base needs to grow, the tendency to become regressive is very high. So we are facing two levels of stress, a strong integration stress, and we are facing a strong evolutionary stress, because there's an upgrading of information that creates a lot of pressure onto many, many people. If people are conscious of this process, they can channel this energy into through their base into the world and increase the game board of the world. If not, we actually become regressive, and we actually go back in space and time into functions that are prior to our current state of development. And this is true for individuals, but this is also true for the collective systems. We will see a strong regression. And therefore, I believe, especially the people that can hold an inner space, that can stay grounded, that can stay in their natural discernment, that can have a multi-perspective inner capacity, that can stay related to the external environment, that can practice presence and staying connected to innovation, to have a future. I think that's where we need to apply all the aspects in order to respond to the current life circumstances from a mature self. Because if the income is threatened, if our life base is becoming more and more insecure, if there are more culminating factors of insecurity in the world, the first tendency is actually to regress and to try to hold on to older functions and structures in consciousness. The newer functions in consciousness are less stable than the primary functions in consciousness. So my survival instinct is much more stable than my inclusivity and my multi-perspectivity and my second-tier consciousness, or however we call it, the higher facilities of my consciousness are newer in evolution, but they are also less likely to be stable. And therefore, we need to create colonies and communities in the higher spheres in order to stabilize them, because the connection is the only thing that stabilizes it. The more fragmented the world becomes, the more the higher functions disintegrate into former functions. And that's a pendulum that keeps swinging through the ages and thousands of years. We see the pendulum of progress and regression, and progress and regression. And the only thing that can help us not to fall prey to that pendulum is, first of all, an inner state of presence, so that I can let this pendulum move through me, stay connected, but not be reduced to it. And the second thing is that in the moment I contract and shut down, I also have no future, because in this shutdown stage, I disconnect from my higher creativity, and I actually have only the tools of my past to deal with the current moment, and the tools of my past just got us here. They didn't get us further down the road. So that means our time, I think, is about presence, about an alive participation, that every one of us will need to become a grown-up, mature citizen of this world. And this means that we don't wait anymore for other people or other organizations or other structures or governments to take care of the stuff that we need to take care of, but that every one of us takes care of their own script, of their own blueprint, and of their own challenges that come along our way. I don't need to look for work, because anyway a lot comes along my way. And if I take care of what I need to take care of, and if everybody takes care of what they need to take care of, many things will be taken care of. And I still believe that we are not living in a real democracy, or whatever the system, however the system is called, that a mature self will create. I think we are not there, because there are too many regressive tendencies. There's too much outward projections of energy and power, and that leads to a crystallization, an external crystallization of power that doesn't create a healthy system for everybody. And to summarize this, when I start to become a global social witness, to become a witness of our time, and not continue to perpetuate the indifference that I might be part of, And that indifference contributes to a lot of things that I actually don't want, but actually through my indifference, I want it. That indifference are unconscious spots that I don't even need to be aware of. So sometimes I might say, but I'm a very, very conscious person and I want to participate in the world. Yes, but in moments like now, when I really tune in, and in maybe in some moments, I cannot tell what I feel. I feel dissociated, I feel stuck, I feel stagnant. So that I think when we surface through an authentic, not I should feel something. No, if I feel numb inside, at least I'm aware that I feel numb inside, and that the numbness is a function, either an individual or a collective function of consciousness that is already part of the collective karma. And so I believe when we all together put more and more energy, and that's a bigger part also of this course, when we put more and more energy into the revelation, revealing the collective unconscious dynamics, how we agree together as a culture to suppress some of the major traumas and shadows of our history, and how they are still alive in us every moment, and what kind of effects that has. So that's how we can, in a way, dissolve this pendulum. Otherwise, energy always needs to fulfill its birth impulse. And if there is a lot of Holocaust energy in us, it will need to fulfill its journey. And if there is a lot of racism or slavery trauma or other traumas or other big scars or apartheid or the war in Syria or many collective scars, our tissue, the tissue of life is full of collective scars that hurt or sometimes even don't hurt anymore. That's even worse. And that because of the individual and the collective stuff, we started to build a house that we need to live in that is not healthy. And we call it culture. And I think in the moment we will get up and dismantle those functions, which is happening already now because there are more and more people that are doing great consciousness work all over the world. So this creates a strong evolutionary pressure. And I believe in our times we are living through that pressure, and that it needs everyone that can stay conscious and present in it, and also deal with the inner stuff that comes up in order to know what's the right action in this time.